Okay, so today I want to talk to you specifically about shepherding. Now, how do you know how people are doing? And I went through and did a lot of research and reading when I was actually first a pastor. Went through with the elders the book The Shepherd Leader. That was really helpful. One of my seminary professors suggested the New Pastor's Handbook. An old pastor who had been shepherding for probably 40, 50 years gave me this book, Help for the New Pastor, as well as reading 9 Marks articles and doing a whole bunch of research on how do I actually know how people are doing spiritually. And there's some part of this that's metric and some part of it that's, judgment call, qualitative. And so this is one of those areas where a system that works on a database can only give you so much. But one of the things that Timothy Whitmer talks about in his book is doing a congregational health review. So going through and asking, how are people doing? And so TinFlock will actually help you do that. Let me walk you through. I'm going to go on the screen here and show you how that works. So if you go over here on the screen and we go to our settings, this isn't turned on automatically, and because not everybody might want to use this, that's fine. And if you go to shepherding depth and you click enable spiritual health monitoring, there you go, press save, and that will enable over here this new area. And so if you go to flock health, you're going to find this module. So flock health is here. All your settings are going to be here. And this is where you get to choose what your metrics are, right? So how are people actually being measured for their spiritual health? These are going to have to be your sessions, your elders, your consistory, your leaders, your shepherds' decisions on how do you measure health. And so maybe worship attendance is a really big issue for you. So I might say, well, over the last 4 months, maybe it's your 12 months, whatever your idea is for how long that is. And then you can say, what does healthy, weak, or straying look like? Now, the other one is lost, right? Anything below straying would be lost. Those are the categories that Whitmer suggests in his. So healthy, weak, straying, or lost. Are they involved in some type of ministry, right? This is one of the things that I think one of the 9 Marks articles suggested when you're trying to figure this out. Maybe you might think, well, are they actually partaking in the Lord's Supper, right? Some people will purposely not take the Lord's Supper because they don't feel like they're doing well spiritually. And so that's something if you wanted to check there. Maybe for you, it's how long has it been since an elder has contacted them? Maybe it's how long has it been since they've received a shepherding visit. I've tried to make this as flexible as I thought helpful categories might be for you. So you can choose this as you want. But one that I think is actually really important is meaningful relationships. Are they actually connecting with people in the church? And so then you get to decide what the weights of those are, right? So you can say, well, it's going to be 40% attendance and 15% ministry, but I want meaningful relationships on there too. And I think meaningful relationships should actually be a 30%, right? Because if people have meaningful relationships, it probably means that they're doing the one another as well. So that gives us 40 and 30, 70, that's 85. Okay, this really kind of needs to match up to 100. But saying its effective split here is it's going to do it by proportion. So you could try to get the numbers to 100, or you could just let the system do the math. Whatever numbers you want to put in there is fine, right? And then again, you could put your thresholds. Now, you can decide who do you want to make these decisions about. Is it going to be children and youth? Are they included? What about baptized members, right? If you're in a Paedo Baptist tradition like mine, baptized members, do regular attendees get this, right? If there's people who aren't members but regularly attend, do you assess their spiritual health? Non-resident members, right? We have some people who are elderly who have had to move to a nursing home, and so they live in another state. They're still members of our church, and yet do you want to include them in this? And then who can view spiritual health data, right? Do you want your secretary to be able to see it if you have a user role like that? Or do you want your deacons to be able to see that? And so you're able to customize this for your own congregation. The next thing that's really helpful here is now you can actually go through and it's giving some ideas of what the system would say, right? And so if we look at this person, James Campbell, he's got a score of 0. Okay, so he's not doing well. It's going to put him as lost. But we find out that he actually has really strong relations in the congregation. He's still calling people, he's still praying. And so we say, you know what? He's not actually lost. This guy's really healthy. And what's going on? James is in a nursing home and prays every day through the church directory. Right? Maybe that's what the insight that the system can't know that you do. And so you can put that in there. Maybe there's people in here that, relationships that he has with different people in the church, and you can start typing those relationships out and you can save that assessment for James. And now, even though the metrics might show that he doesn't come to church and he's not engaged in ministry, yet he does have healthy relationships. And so we're able to go down here, and now his information is saved. So that's how, James Campbell assessed as healthy, right? So that's how you can do congregational assessments. This is something our elders try to do once a year as we go through our different shepherding groups. That's actually one of the fun things about this. You don't have to do this at a meeting, because you can give each elder their own login. The elders can do this themselves at home. Pray about it, talk about it with, maybe call in as an elder and then come together and talk about this. And so this is just a helpful tool that I hope you'll be able to use. I hope it will be of encouragement as you use this type of tool. All right, so that's what the flock health, congregational health looks like. And I hope that that's a helpful tool for you to be able to shepherd God's people. Again, not just doing busy administrative work, but honestly reflecting and praying and trying to care for Jesus' sheep. All right, have fun tending the flock.